What's going on, guys? Matt Everett here with Lethal Camaro, and today I want to do a quick video around my purchase strategy, or how I purchased my brand new 2016 Suburban LT. Now, yes, I'm driving my Camaro right now, but I'm on my way to work, so it's the only few times during the day I have to make videos, so I figured this will have to do. But in purchasing my Suburban, a lot of people are always asking me, can you go through the process of how you purchased your car, or how you got a good deal, or what was your strategy? You know, and there's so many different ways to go about it. And the first thing I think we need to address is just the big thing, the emotional side of purchasing a car. It is very emotional, whether you like to admit it or not. It's a lot of money to spend. And so you can easily get wrapped up in the moment at a dealership and potentially buy a vehicle at a price that is way higher than what you probably could have gotten the car at. And there's a lot of ways to go around this, and there's a lot of ways to approach this in a way to remove the emotional side to a point, so you don't get a bad deal. Now, that's not saying that you can't just go in and you have a dealership and it's just going to give you a good deal because they're happy that day. I don't know. But here is my basic strategy of how I approached my Suburban. Now, my wife and I, we knew we wanted to get into a Suburban. Originally, it was a Tahoe. We test drove the Tahoes and realized the Tahoe wasn't really for us coming out of a Dodge Durango, because one, the Tahoe had less storage space in the back, and two, the rear seat sits right over the rear axle and eliminates a lot of leg room. And knowing that we have 4 boys, we needed a vehicle that we can get that we'll grow into and have plenty of room to not only fit our kids, but you know, we're getting to a point in our lives where we want to start going on some vacations, whether it's camping or just growing across country. We wanted a vehicle that was going to allow our family to be comfortable and then also carry all of our luggage and equipment and all that stuff inside the car. I'm not a big fan of, I forget what they call them, the name,
I-15
the top
road conditions.
The top carriers that mount on the top of your car. I don't like those. And one, if you're traveling and you're stopping at hotels, you have to unload everything out of them, and I just don't trust the locks. Like, if someone really wanted to break into them, they could. So yeah, so that eliminates that side of things. But we knew we wanted to get a Suburban after doing all of our research and everything like that. So we set out in our dealership.
I-15 dangerous road conditions.
Sorry. So we set out to get our Suburban, but we are within a budget, just like everyone else in the world. There's only so much money we can and want to apply to a purchase of a new vehicle. And working with that within that budget is really important to us. So there's a lot of factors that go into, you know, buying the car that will keep you in that budget, whether you buy or lease, how much money you want to put down on the vehicle, and basically outlining what makes sense to you. Now, knowing it's our family car and knowing that my wife does not drive even over 7,000 miles a year, we always go the lease route. We put just a little bit of money down to get us into the payment we want, and we lease the vehicle. It works for us. It's how we approach things for the family car. Now, this car here is purchased, financed, not leased. So, but the difference between the two is if you lease a vehicle, your payment could be substantially lower depending on the rates that are happening at that very moment and what the factor is on that lease. Now, you will see advertisements like, come on down, get this car for X dollars amount a month and stuff like that. Those are usually most often good lease deals. Or if you see good purchase deals, they'll offer like 0%, 72 month financing. So basically you're just taking a loan out on what you're paying and not really paying anything additional. But again, it's up to you on what works for you. So figuring out what is going to be your approach, whether you're going to be buying the car or leasing the car, is key when you go down and start talking about purchasing a car. So us knowing that we wanted to lease, we went, or I shouldn't say we, it was mostly me instigating and talking with my wife. My wife hates going down and talking about cars with salesmen. She just gets all frustrated and whatnot. But we knew what we wanted. We researched the packages. So there's the LS, the LT, the LTZ with the Suburban. And we knew which ones had what we basically wanted. Now, in looking at what we wanted, we knew the LTZ was way out of our price range. It's an amazing vehicle, and all the functionality within from the LT to the LTZ is pretty amazing for the amount of money you spend to get it. But we knew the LT was in our price point, and we knew the LT could come equipped with the items we wanted for our family. So some of those items was base leather, the side step on the car, rear detection and whatnot, backup camera, the technology package that included the TVs, a sunroof, moonroof, whatever you want to call it, and some of the other just miscellaneous items like navigation and some of the trim package items. So we knew what we wanted, and we had our list. So in going down, this actually was about last year, we went down to our dealership because it was around that time. We had a year left on our lease, and we're just like, hey, we're a year out, let's see what's possible. And at that time, there was no sales, no incentives, no anything for Suburbans or Tahoes on their lot. And so we just went down and was just like, this is what we want, this is the packages that we want. And they actually located a white one, which was the original color my wife wanted, and put out the numbers, and it was basically like $185 more a month than we could afford. And I was just like, good Lord, that's a lot of money. $185 a month is a big gap from what the price point that we wanted. And so I kind of wrote off being able to get a Suburban. Like, I was just, and I'd go into my dealership. Obviously during that time I had purchased my Camaro. I go in there all the time to the parts counter because I'm always buying new clips or parts or the fender dams or whatever, or ordering parts like my front grille or the body kit, all that stuff. So I would always pop my head in and be like, hey, you guys gonna give me a good deal on a Suburban? And I would just leave it at that, and they would always chuckle, and every now and then they would look and be like, oh, no incentives. And the thing is they would always go back and be like, the car you want is never on sale because they sell so well, GM doesn't have to discount them at all. Well, fast forward now through all that time to this year, and this last weekend, and it was Labor Day. And for one of the first times in a very long time, they had incentives on Suburbans. And so I drove down the day before and basically, hey, this is what I want. You know what I want. I see you're having a sale. Can you make the deal happen? And boiled out to, okay, let's look into it. Let's see what we can figure out. I'm like, okay, let me know. Give me a ring. So I wasn't at the dealership very long. It was literally like a 5-minute conversation, and I left. Like, I didn't need to go see the cars. I didn't know, like, I had already done all this over the last year. Like, I've test driven them, I've checked them out. We knew exactly what we wanted. And the benefit is the way that we approached our car was we didn't need it now. So, and that's a great way to go about it. Like, if you start researching your future car you want, you know what you need and want, and you don't have to go in and do the whole rigmarole. Let's go test drive it. Let's go see all the options. Let's see what vehicles they have that match up with what we have. Literally, I had my list, and it was like, here, this is what I need and want. If you don't have it, then no deal. And the other benefit is if you go to a dealership that has the car that you want, if that car is on their lot, you can get a better deal with that car being already on the lot versus them trying to find one from another dealership, and they have to trade a car or buy that car from that dealership, and they're paying their full invoice pricing. So you're not going to get a super deal when they get that car. Like, sure, they'll give you incentives and whatnot like that, but you can always get a better deal if the car is sitting on the lot at the dealership you want to buy it from. So in my case, again, here's my list. This is the price we want it. He looked up really quickly. Hey, we have 2 cars that meet your exact criteria. One was black. We don't want a black car. Just a nightmare to keep clean. I love the way they look, but I'm sorry, I just can never do a black car again. And then they had this like slate gray. It actually looks a bluish color if you saw my previous video. But here's a picture of the car that we actually were looking at. But I thought it looked great. But it came down to, okay, it has everything we want, has everything we need. There was one thing it didn't have, and that was the front bumper sensors, which it's an option, so it can be added to the car, but that was the only thing that this car didn't have. In hindsight, it's like $1,200 additional option that you can't really add on after the fact, but I was okay with that car not having that. But everything else was there, and it was perfect. Wife loved the color, all that stuff. So it came down to the number. Can you get to the number that we want? And so I left my list. He was crunching the numbers. He had a talk with his manager. They had some incentives and sales going on, and they called me up and said, "Hey Matt, we could do the deal at the price you want." And I was like, "Sweet." I was like, "Are you sure? Is it in writing?" He's like, "I got manager sign off, good to go. Come on down, we'll sell you the car right now." So that was in the evening, and well, there's too much going on, so I'm like, we're gonna have to come back tomorrow. So we went back the next morning. The deal was exactly as they outlined, signed all the paperwork, put a couple $1,000s down on the vehicle, and bam, got a brand new Suburban. Now, that process seems pretty easy, right? And it should be that easy. It should never be that hard. And it was a lot of due diligence and a lot of just knowing what I wanted and working with the dealership in a sense of, this is the price I want to pay. And obviously I was being realistic. I wasn't like, hey, I crunched the numbers and I figured, hey, with this and this much incentives, they should be able to give me the car that I want at the price that I want. I wasn't being unrealistic in things. So I did my number crunching on my backside, knowing, okay, at this price point, they would have to take off this much money. And if they did that with my amount of money down, not knowing what the lease incentives or current lease options were, I had a good idea of what the price should be. Now, knowing my credit's really good, thankfully, paying my bills, never miss a payment, pay off high balances and get them down to low balances, stuff like that. Doing that over time is going to build your credit. If you guys don't have a credit card, I would highly encourage you to get a credit card and use it for your daily purchases and literally go home and pay it off. Like if you go to the store, buy your groceries, go home, that same money you would have paid cash for, put it on your card and pay it off. Now for me, I have the GM card. So I specifically got the GM card knowing, one, I got my Camaro, so I used it for that, and then also I knew we were gonna get a Suburban, so I used it for that, but the idea there was to spend money on everyday items and get cash back to then apply towards the purchase of a vehicle. Now, unfortunately, the amount of money I had saved up since the purchase of this beautiful Camaro was not all that much. I think it was like $175, but still, that's an additional $175 that I could take off the price of the overall Suburban. Every dollar counts. I would think. I mean, that's a lot of really good lunches that I can now afford. That was free money from GM for simply just using their card and paying it off every month. I highly encourage you guys to try to do that. But I don't even know where I was going with all this. But anyways, the biggest thing is know what you want. Go do all your test driving. You're like, hey, go to the dealership. Hey, I'm here to test drive a vehicle. I'm not buying today, but I want to make sure this is the vehicle I want. They're going to always let you take out a car. Sure, they're going to try to sell you. Just like, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm just here to test drive. I appreciate your time, but I want to get to know the vehicle and make sure this is the vehicle I want. And by doing that, one, you eliminate the whole, well, do I like the car? Do I need to go check out other cars? Like, go do all of that ahead of time. Go around to dealerships, spend some time, drive all the cars you're interested in. In this case, we needed a really big car, and there's not really a competitor to the Suburban currently, now that the Expedition is retired or is no longer being made. But, do your homework. Go check out the car. Go online. read up on all of the amenities and what comes standard in each package, and then look at the pricing, drill down on your payment, and know what you can afford. And at that point, you know what you want, you know what you can pay for, and you can go down to your dealership and be like, look, this is what I'm gonna pay, this is what I want. If you can make the deal happen, I will drive off the lot with the car. And by doing that, you eliminate all the haggling, all of just everything in general, and you can just get in and out. And the nice thing is in my case, I did have a trade-in. So we had our Dodge Durango. It was a 2014 Limited. We did put a little bit of extra money down on the car when we first got it, which actually allowed us to have a positive resale value even through the dealership. Usually the dealership's going to lowball you pretty bad and give you a bad payment, or at least a bad dollar amount for your trade-in. In our case, we traded in at the Paradise dealership, and they gave us a little bit more than what we owed on the vehicle, which was nice. We were in a position to where we weren't negative. So, and that's the other thing, if you know you have a trade-in and you know you're upside down on it, one, you can sell it third party and probably get a little bit more money, or two, you can trade it in and take the hit on that, but you need to calculate taking that loss and adding it to your new loan. So if you're $3,000 upside down, you need to put that $3,000 on your new loan and compensate for that in your payment structure. So there's a way to do it, and most dealerships will work with you in any which way they can. But one, I mean, if you have bad credit, it's going to be really hard. But two, if you have good credit, they're going to work with you because one, they know that you can get in the new car with a good payment. I know in our case, I even bargained with them a little bit on my trade-in. I even got a little bit more money than what they wanted to offer. Which initially it was above what we owed on it, but then getting that little bit more was just that much more. So, it just goes to show that there's always room to negotiate and haggle. And from what I saw on their website, they had our car listed on their site for one day, and now it's already sold and gone. So it's not like they sat on my trade-in for very long. But that's it, and I know this video was kind of all over the place, but that was my process that I went in buying my Suburban. Now, I'd love to hear what you guys think in the process you've taken. If you have anything different to share, and my phone is ringing. Stop it. So if you have a different process to share, something different that you did with your car, let me know in the comments below. I'm always interested to find out what method worked for everyone else, but I'm just hoping that the process that I took, it was so pain-free. I mean, I went into the dealership, they had my list, they knew my payment, they got it there. I agreed to it over the phone after I went back home. They had the car all washed up and good to go. I filled out the form and paperwork when I got there. It took like 20 minutes max. And then I was in finance for maybe 15 minutes and literally walked right out with the keys and got on my car. Like, it's not a crazy process. And if you work with a good dealership, it's super easy. Now, I will highly praise, I've purchased 5 Chevy vehicles now through Paradise Chevrolet. My S10 was my first vehicle at that dealership, and then obviously now my last one was the Suburban, got my Camaro, and we had a couple cars in between. But yeah, I mean, it should be an easy process, and if it's not, then you're not working with the right dealership. That's what it comes down to. So if you're local to where I'm at, come check out Paradise Chevrolet. Great guys. Jimmy over there, he's in the management side. Hit him up. If you watch this video and you live local and you're looking for a Suburban or a Camaro or anything else Chevy, just give Paradise a chance. They've earned my business over the years. They've been very professional, and have always been open and honest. They like when I first bought my first car, I had no credit. My S10 I bought on September 11th, the actual date of the towers going down. And I think I paid some ridiculous finance fees because my credit was just like, I think it was like 540, but I mean, like, I literally had no credit. Like, I never had a credit card. I never had anything. I was young. I was 18 years old. But fast forward now, I have really good credit, and it's really easy to work with, and You know, a lot of you guys get maybe frustrated and whatnot in buying a vehicle, but you know, credit pays a huge part. And if you don't have the credit, then you need to have the money or the cash to put down to prove to the bank you're invested in that vehicle. But yeah, outside of that, that's my video. So thanks for watching, guys. As always, likes, comments, and shares, always appreciated. Subscribes, even more so. And until next time, and potentially to the next video where I will actually be in the Suburban, I'll see you on the road.